important to try to get an understanding of this so that you can maybe help us help these cats.
Yes. So TNR, sure everybody has heard what it is by now. What it
One
means.
last thing, I'm sorry, Nancy. If anyone has any questions, please hold them till the end of the presentation.
Yeah, I'll make time for questions. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Lisa for thinking that I'm the best person to be able to do this. I got into TNR about, I'd say 10 years ago when I found 2 kittens 6 months apart in my front yard and went to buy cat food one day and met a nice young lady who was starting a rescue, and she offered to help me, and that's how I got started. Little ways down the road, I successfully TNR'd with my neighbor 10 cats, and that's how we got started. So I wanted to know more about it eventually. And I started reading about TNR and feral cats, and I started taking care of cats in my apartment complex. So I needed to know how to help other residents. And at the time, the apartment complex was favorable for me to do this, so I got it started. Over the years, I probably TNR'd about 40 cats with my neighbor in my apartment complex. And then it kind of ended for personal reasons, but there's no reason why you can't approach your apartment complex if that's where you live. What I want to talk about today is mostly backyard cats, even though we see feral cats all over the place. Anybody, I'm sure a lot of people have encountered backyard cats. I know you've done it, we've all pretty much done it. So, you know, feral cats, colonies are at least 3+ cats. And what feral cats are domesticated cats that over the centuries have become wild, and they reverted back to a wild state. Kittens that are born outside become feral because they don't find them in time, and they kind of get past that socialization stage, which is anywhere from 3 to 4 months. It's not impossible to tame a feral kitten, but it's difficult and it's challenging and it's time consuming, but it can be rewarding. Also in colonies, you'll see some stray cats. And stray cats were human-owned that got out, never came back, or were abandoned, wandering the neighborhoods. And because cats do reproduce so prolifically, what happens is a lot of them that aren't fixed is why we have so many. The cats get out and end up kittens. Cats can have kittens at 4 to 5 months old. So we see cats in our backyard. What are we going to do? They're all over the place. They're in a shed. And we see them, and you don't know if they have kittens. We don't know how many they are, but we feel sorry for them because the cat's outside. You see it every day. So you do food out. Then maybe you have another cat that comes because there's food out. And then maybe another one, and before you know it, we're feeding 3 or 4 cats. So the responsibility lays with us because cat overpopulation is a human problem, and we've let it go on, and now it's time for us to make it a human problem again, but rectify it. So we do TNR. TNR, which is trap, neuter, return, trap, neuter, vaccinate, return. We humanely trap the cats, we take them to a clinic, have them altered, vaccinated, ear-tipped, which is the universal sign that the cat has been fixed. Then they come back to us and we release them to where we trap them. So you start feeding in your backyard, and maybe your neighbors are complaining, but your responsibility lies, if you're going to feed them, you have to fix them. So How do you go about finding out about that? Well, there's lots of resources out there, local rescues, and there's several of them around here that will help you with TNR, which is how I learned. And then subsequently I can't tell you how many certification classes I took. I must have done 5 or 6 certification classes, because I always thought that there's always something else I could learn. I took classes on feeding, raising feral kittens, taming feral kittens, raising bottle babies, which sometimes comes along with trapping cats. You find the babies. So that's what we want. So let me show you this trap. This is a Tomahawk Trap. There are several different companies that make them. I prefer the Tomahawk traps or the True Catch traps. And the difference between them is this is a spring trap, where when you set it, and the cat steps on the trap, on the trip plate, it's the spring releases it, and it's loud. The other True Catch trap is not a spring trap, it's a gravity trap, where there are little rings, and then it does have a protrusion that holds the door up, but when the cat steps on the plate, the rings just go and it closes very quietly. And I've had cats turn around, look at the back of the trap, and then go back to eating because it didn't scare them. So to get the trap ready, you need to line it with something. I use newspaper. This newspaper is a little ratty, but line the trap with the newspaper. I'll make a little anal with the newspaper. I like it to fit almost exactly. Then what you're going to do is put the food in them. Now I had paper plates and I left them in the car, but I'll take a little bit and put a little bit on the paper plate, because you don't want to use a lot of food, because if they do get scared and start running around, they'll knock the food all over. So I get a little bit and I put it back here, behind the plate here. Put it here, but what I also do is make, once the trap is all ready, once you put the food back there, then you have to make sure the back door. There's a removable back door on these traps, and that's the kind of trap that the clinics prefer. They want you to have 2-door traps. So this way it's easier to, for them to get the cat in and out. So the back door goes on, there's a hook on here. The food is in there. And you set the trap, which gets a little hard sometimes. It takes a little bit of dexterity. You grab the door, I push with my thumb, I pull it up, and then right here, there's a little hook on this spring. You gotta push it forward. All right, I'm gonna have to use my hand. All right. Sometimes it doesn't stay. But you can see how now this trap, it works. I've had traps where I kept doing that, and the trip plate came up. So, but I'm going to also put the trap in a spot where it's quiet, maybe close by where they eat, up against a tree. Okay. Also, before you're going to trap the cat, don't feed it one feeding before, so that it's hungry when it comes to eat. One other important thing is a trap cover. I inherited this somehow. I use the blankets that they sell in Walmart. They're like $3 or something like that, and they fit just right. But when I'm going to trap, I leave the cover on the top and see that? And a little bit on the sides. And then so that the cat can see through it. I don't cover it all the way. So after it's in a nice quiet spot, you're ready to trap the cat. Make sure you cut it that out. I also take, a lot of times I use tuna, and I buy the cheap tuna because it's smelly, and I wouldn't eat it myself. And I take the spoon or the fork and I make a little trail. And I make the trail outside too, because cats have a fantastic smell, and they can smell from far away. So the smellier, the better. So then you go, trap is all set, ready to go, and you go hide someplace. You should be able to see the trap. If you can't, it's no big deal, but don't go far away. You shouldn't leave the trap unattended. But you can't set a trap and go back the next morning. It's not safe for the cat. So now what I do is if I'm around a corner, I keep peeking around the corner. But with this trap, you can hear it when it closes. So the cat will go in, smell the food, go in, step on the plate, and that's when I come running back to the trap. Because what I want to do then is make sure that I cover the trap all the way so the cat doesn't hurt herself or himself. This way they stay calm. And I've had cats freaking out in the traps. As soon as you cover them up, they calm down. So then you have to, then what are you going to do with the cat? You trap the cat. You have to make sure you have an appointment for that cat to be fixed the next day. If you trap in the morning, which I used to do, but you can also trap in the evening. It depends on when you feed the cats and when they show up. You're not going to feed one meal before that. You have to have a place for the cats to go. So they need pre-op space and they need recovery space. Now that I think is a little bit of a problem with a lot of trapping. I think sometimes it's also a deterrent. If you have a garage, you can use just for a couple of nights. They have to stay quiet. If you trap at night, you shouldn't feed them before you bring them in, or rather after. If you do trap in the morning, you're going to have to hold them the whole day. So then if I did that, I would give them a small meal during the day and then not feed them at night. Some people have put the cats in the trap in a bathtub in a bathroom. I had access to a basement. I used to hold them overnight in the basement. So anywhere where they're warm and comfortable is a place to hold them. Sometimes I know that People for Animals holds one night. Is that what they do?
That's correct.
So People for Animals is a spay and neuter clinic down in Robbinsville. They also have 2 or 3 other clinics. The main one I think is in Hillside, and they will hold the cat overnight for $5. I think they've also raised their fee. Is it over $60 now?
Yeah, 65 per month.
It's 65. Okay. Also, a good idea to do now are people are microchipping the cats. You know, the important thing is the ear tip. The ear tip is to let animal control or anybody else that traps accidentally or on purpose traps the cat. They know that the cat is fixed and they should not take it to the shelter. I don't know if you've gone to that. Yeah, animal control could be a problem sometimes. But so the next morning you're going to bring the cat to the clinic. That afternoon you're going to pick the cat up and bring it home, put it in the same spot that you're going to use for recovery space. You can give the cat a little bit to eat about an hour after you get home. Females, I like to keep them at least 48 hours after surgery. Males, you can let go 24 hours later. 24 hours is a good holding time because it takes 24 hours for them to kind of regulate their temperatures after surgery, after anesthesia. And then when you release them, you bring the trap back to where you trap them. You open up the one end, you undo the door, you open the door, and you let them go. So then now you're like, now I have to take care of the cats. If they are in your backyard and you decide you want to take care of them, as you have been, it's a good idea to follow the rules. You don't want people complaining. So what I used to do is everybody had a plate or a bowl, and they had a certain amount of time to eat. And if my cats were not done eating in an hour, I picked up all their food and I brought it inside. So I kind of trained them to their meal time. So, you know, feral cats can become friendly. I had a couple that were very bonded to me. I had to relocate my cats, but they all ended up in a great place, so it was okay. For, you know, it wasn't okay in the beginning for me. It was okay for them. So, you know, I don't know what else to say about it. I was a big advocate of this. I tried to, for 4 years, to get New Brunswick to adopt some kind of a program, and got shot down. So, I mean, I don't know how many people are interested in promoting TNR, but it's a good thing. It's a good idea to show up at your council meetings and maybe speak about it a little bit. Get your neighbors interested if you have neighbors that care about cats. There's a lot of resources to learn about TNR, Alley Cat Allies, neighborhood cats. My very first TNR seminar was through Neighborhood Cats. A woman by the name of Carol McNichol gave the workshop, and it was the Neighborhood Cats course. She's the president. She runs a rescue in Jersey City called Companion Animal Trust, and it's been around for a long time. She taught the class. We got certified. My neighbor and I don't know, I took another class down at the Monmouth County SPCA. I do notice now, because I get the emails, there are a lot of webinars now that will, you take a 2-hour class on a Saturday webinar, and they'll certify you as long as you're registered. Neighborhood Cats just had one. Also the New York City Feral Cat Initiative runs webinars now. I have taken several of their cat courses. It used to be a lot easier to take courses than it is now. Now everything is on a webinar. You can't do it personally. So I don't know what else to tell you. It was.
Can you show us how to use the forks?
Oh, yeah. Well, also different kinds of traps. We have a drop trap here. And yeah, the fork. Yeah, you're going to have these cats overnight, definitely. So at some point you're going to have to change
the other one there fits.
Well, this is good too. Right, this one's smaller.
Yeah, that's the one I,
This is
for
a
my
giant fork.
Tomahawk.
No, I never saw one that big. Well, yeah, aftercare. You know, you're gonna have the cat overnight, and you're gonna wanna change you're gonna have to probably change the paper at some point, especially the girls. If you're gonna let the boys go the next day, it's okay. So you have a cat in here, and you wanna change the paper. So I pull this back, the cat's hissing at you and everything else. So I managed to get them down. I'll hit the cage and scare them in the back. Then I put this, you have to put this in here. Put it down. And I put mine at an angle. You gotta make sure that the cat's gonna stay back there. If I can get the cat back even further, I'll put it back here. So you can put it in this way. Also, I don't use it this way now. But this is another way that you can put it in, to keep the cat back. Put it on the back. And make sure that that cat is staying back there. Because a lot of times you have to do this with one hand. You take out the dirty newspaper, you throw it out, you already have a piece all ready to go. You put the newspaper back in, you put it in. Make sure you put the door back on. Because you don't want the cat going out the door. Open up this, then it'll run down to the other end, you hope. If not, you gotta make it go back. You gotta scare it back. Put this, cover it back again. Take this end, keep the cat back there. And do the same thing with the paper. Take the dirty paper out, put the new paper in. And also when you're going to change the food, if you want to use this, it's a good idea to make sure the cat doesn't sneak out while you're changing the food, because they are pretty quick. So then you can take the food out and put the food in. Make sure this is always locked when there's a cat, because they'll get out if they can.
And Nancy, when you put the fork in, you should always clip it as well, right? For the same
I
thing?
have a different fork that does not have this on.
Okay.
So I've never used a fork with this, but,
Because at least if it's,
yeah, if you're
if
doing
it's
it by
going
yourself,
down like
absolutely.
you have it, the weight of it will
Yeah.
deter them from possibly moving it versus if you put it in sideways, right?
Yeah, I don't like to do it sideways, because I like to hold on to it.
Yeah. It's all about trying to be safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is also why it's a good idea maybe to get
Yeah,
some.
squeeze through some very small spaces, you know, even if that, fork moves a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, what else can I
Like
do?
a Caribbean. And Nancy, when you do release them, in
Yeah, ask me
theory,
questions,
should you
'cause
keep
that's
it
better.
covered on the three sides, so when you open the side that they see the daylight, they're triggered to go out?
No, usually I'll just open it, it doesn't matter, at that point,
Okay.
they're ready to go.
Yeah, they just want to be away from you.
Yeah. But sometimes well, most of the time I take it off, because,
Oh, okay.
then they see what's going on, and then they want it. Well, this isn't in there, but then you open, you got this open, they see, they're ready to go. A lot of times. Somebody like the Monmouth County SPCA, they want you to release, pick up the cats in a carrier and release them from carriers.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a strange thing, but that's how they do it. Is anybody feeding cats on their backyard? Yeah? Are they fixed?
No, I came because I saw they're having a meeting, and these were 3 feral kittens that the mother never came back for. So, of course, I felt bad, like you said. I started to feed them. And now, I have a responsibility to TNR.
How
them.
old are they?
I think they're about 6 or 7 months. And
Okay.
I talked to another lady, she said I really shouldn't trap them now because it's winter time, and I don't personally have a place for them. I have 2 dogs in the house.
Right.
I have nowhere to have them recovery. So I came here, because I'm willing, if someone could help me to do one of them. I'm very nervous about it, but I would like give the Humane Association a donation if someone could help me.
Yeah.
I really need help with someone experienced or someone doing this. And that's why I'm here. I feel like I need to do this. I don't want them to keep
Right.
repopulating. But they can stay behind the shed. I even made some like homes for them.
Okay.
The Rubbermaid containers, and there's
Oh,
like
you do that, okay.
a
Do they
heating
go in?
pad in there. And
Do you fill them with straw?
I did.
Okay,
I
good.
did. I looked to see to do that,
Okay,
but
good.
my main concern is I don't have a place for them, if I
To
trap
recover.
them, I don't have a place to keep them, especially in the winter. I could see in the spring, it's not so cold.
Yeah. Well, they
But
learn to
mostly
live
someone to
outside.
help me.
Do they, if they use the shelters,
They use the shelters.
then they're okay.
No, I mean, I shouldn't trap them now, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
if they're
well,
in there, I have
yes.
nowhere to keep them.
But if you don't, they're already, if there's females in there, they can already get pregnant if they're 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
If
I
you don't
know,
do
and
it,
So, but
this
here's
is what you
The
wanna
lady,
do
the
now.
lady told me, she said that, even if they are pregnant in the spring, they'll take the kittens. She says, but don't do you can't do the females in the wintertime because they lose, they shave their belly.
Yeah, they shave their belly.
So, I mean, I'm getting a lot of information, so I'm getting
Well,
very
it depends
nervous.
on how much they shave the belly, because there are some places, now, they don't have to make a big incision to do the spay surgery, it's small. So if they only shave, I just read it, where some places are doing small, shaving less of an area, so that their whole belly isn't exposed.
Right, so, I mean, my question is there
It's
someone
recovery.
is there someone that, I mean, I can make a donation to or pay to
I'll
help
help
me
you.
capture them?
I'll help you.
You will, because I've never done this before.
No, it's
I had-
okay, I'll help you. all right?
Yeah, okay, I live right off Finnegan's Lane, in North Brunswick,
Okay.
but,
Well, the clinic, because you'll make an appointment at the
you
effect.
know, what clinic was this?
It's
The
People for
Animals?
Animals,
The
and they're in
pamphlet,
Robbinsville.
the-
It's right on, there's a
It's all
handout
here
that you got.
in the hand.
Oh, it's in there, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
This is PFA's
okay.
instructions. All the information is in there, everything that
Okay.
Nancy's talking
So
about.
do you suggest I don't trap them right now?
I
Like, should I wait till the
personally am
spring?
trapping, because you know what, they're at the age where they can get pregnant, so I personally am trapping females and males.
You need to have, they need to have recovery space though, so you have to find out how much their belly's doing.
Yeah.
I feed a cat every day that's a calico, and I've been putting.
You do, okay.
Yeah, I have a space heater.
Okay.
Okay.
You live in North Brunswick?
No, I live in Monroe, but I end up trapping kind of everywhere, South Country.
You do, do you belong to them?
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, I've heard of Finnegan's Lane.
It's the border of South
I have
Brunswick.
horrible sense of direction, but I have no GPS.
Okay.
We'll exchange numbers after this, okay?
Yeah, do you belong to
Yeah, I
the Humane
was,
Association? Do you belong to the group?
Yeah, I'm a volunteer.
Because I have no problem paying for neutering or like giving a donation to the thing.
That would be so appreciated because
Oh.
COVID really hit us hard, so I'm
Oh,
happy.
no,
to
I
help.
would. I mean, my main thing is, I don't know, I'm afraid to do it by myself.
Once you do it, I'll show you, you know, and.
Yeah,
we'll
once
do
you
the
learn,
options.
it's very easy and it's a help to the organization.
Okay.
Those of us that have done it or do it, we
Right.
like to teach.
I mean, if someone was there to
the
help me,
homeowners.
like,
And
you know,
on your
set up
side,
the
too.
trap and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when I was doing it and I had somebody new, I always went to the first trapping so they saw what to
Great,
do,
okay.
so that they
okay,
could help later.
Okay.
Call, you need to, when you make an appointment, you go online to do it. The People for Animals,
Nancy will be doing that.
website.
If we're doing it through NDHA, she
We'll
has to
do
make
it.
the
Oh,
appointment.
yeah, oh,
We'll
yeah.
make the appointment, we get the better rate.
Yeah.
Well, she'll need recovery space.
Yeah, I don't have that.
That's
I
part of
have
the
a
appointment.
garage.
That's part of the appointment,
Oh, it's part of the
overnight.
appointment, all right.
Oh,
Well,
get
it's good.
overnight.
Don't keep the cat
So-
overnight,
the
then that's
$5
what
fee.
you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
We pay for it.
Good.
I have a question. Remember, a PFA used to let you, if you trapped a cat, they would let you hold it overnight at their place and then do the surgery the next day?
I
But
think
after
so.
COVID, I think they got rid of that freebie. So do they?
They don't do that?
They
But
don't do
I
that
also
anymore, they
thought
stopped
that
it?
they take, you can come in with one feral. So
Yeah,
anybody can just walk in with a
That's
feral.
Tuesday to Friday.
So if you have them trap in the morning, if you do it early, you get there before 8:30, I guess.
Right, but I'm talking about like, let's say you trapped it like, 7 o'clock at night.
Well, they
and-
have to hold.
I mean, no, and like, let's say you trapped it at 3 o'clock at night and you can, and PFA is still open, you used to be able to drop the cat off and then it would be done the next
If
morning.
they're
Yeah,
still
it
taken.
depends, they'll do it for $5 to pre-op.
Before,
But
Pre-op.
$5 is for the overnight, now they charge $5
For pre-op,
before
yeah.
also?
Yep.
Oh, pre,
both
Do you need a
sides.
Pre and post?
appointment, don't you?
Yeah, because it used to be just post.
Per night, so.
Before and
$5
after,
per night.
before
Per night,
$5
yeah.
before, and
Okay.
after $5.
Now, you mentioned the shed. Is there a possibility that they could even, if it is in the winter time, they can recover in the shed?
Well, they can, but there's no heat in there. I mean, I have,
Do it overnight
Yeah.
anyway.
But do it as the overnight,
Yeah,
but not
it's
knowing if you have males and
$5.
females.
Yeah.
oh, I mean, I'll pay that. I
Yeah.
don't mind. I just really, this is really out of my wheelhouse. I've never done it before, so like if someone could be there or walk me or help me.
You know
Yeah,
what,
no,
I'm
absolutely.
proud of you for coming to this meeting and wanting to do something instead of just watching, so.
Yeah,
the fact
no,
that
I
you're
mean,
here
I
is
really
great.
feel like I wish I would have done it like sooner, but
You didn't know,
I
it's
saw the
okay.
meeting and I'm like, I need to like make sure these cats are, you know, TNR. And they can be let back behind the shed. I mean, I have shelters for them. I just didn't know, I don't know the, you know, your plan of action, like when do you trap them or when do you drop them? I don't know how that all works.
Or do you feed them regularly?
I feed them, I feed them dry food and wet food every day, twice a day I put it out there.
So you feed them in the morning and at night?
I feed them around like 8 o'clock and then I feed them at like 4 o'clock.
Okay.
But there's, you know, they're beautiful, there are 3 of them, you know, they stare at me, they're maybe 10 feet away, but they won't come any closer.
Of course.
And they come out when I, you know, I'm like.
Yeah, they'll get to know you, you know, I mean, they're feral, and, you know, if they're able to live outside and they're taken care of by you,
Right.
and they'll live nice lives in your backyard.
No, they will. I'm just, I'm like nervous and
Yeah.
excited, like I want to make sure that they're new.
But they might
that's
even
all.
get to like you some.
Well, maybe one day. I mean, I try to call them and they just stare at me. They all come
Yeah,
out.
they'll
and
stare at me, I'll bet.
But they won't come by. I see them, but.
I've fed feral
Yeah,
cats.
I think the brothers, I see them playing outside and tumbling together. They're happy cats, so.
Do you want to demonstrate the job? Do you want to demonstrate the
Yeah,
job?
yeah, let her do it. Thank you.
Let me show you this. This is a transfer cage. So a lot of times, you might need to transfer from a trap to a cage. You don't use the trap, you can use a cage. They don't allow you to bring cats to PFA and transfer cages, do they? No, because there's no back door.
I don't think so. The back door is only.
Oh,
No. You have to have a
There's
trap.
trap line. Well, in some cases, you might have to, you know, transfer the cat and you don't want to use things, so these have to get pretty close. I've never used one.
Do I have to buy a cage or?
No,
You can lay-
no,
No.
you don't have to.
Oh, okay. I'll talk to you.
You just have to pay for the bedding, and then if you would give a donation, that would be
Yes.
so appreciated.
No
Yeah.
problem.
So you want to transfer your cat someplace else and you don't want to take a trap, you can use something smaller, like a transfer cage.
But not for the inexperienced, because cats
No,
get
this
away
is tough.
easily. Yeah.